I have no music this time.
Top 10 kaiju figures. Let's go. Number 10, we have Gamera. He should probably not even be on this list, but I mean, he has head articulation, and I was the guy who made this. This is an entirely custom figure of plasticine. So just for those two reasons alone, he gets a slightly better spot than some other figures. I'm gonna use Space Godzilla. Point is, Gamera, I think, deserves his spot because he has better articulation. He has than the figures that didn't even make it on the spot. And he just has a way better color scheme. I think he has one of the more interesting color schemes. Number 9, we have Anguirus, because this is probably the figure I customized arguably the least. But the base thing that was already there was actually not half bad. It's a little bit better than Gamera. It's a little bit vibrant in colors, and I customized it. Well, I shouldn't really be saying that I customized it gives it a point, but you know, my customs do hold a little bit of a closer spot to my heart. But I will say, he does have better articulation than Gamera, and he just has a bit of a better sculpt. I have Zilla. This guy is the first one that on the list that I did some paint work for. Originally, he had a lot of brown on his top area, but I've changed it completely to black and added the meshy-esque dorsal plates to give him that 90s edgy look that made him look so crappy in the first place. 7, we have Ultraman, the first on this list that isn't customized in any way, shape, or form. I would put him higher considering he has 14 points of articulation, but unfortunately some of those points of articulation are limited by the actual sculpt as well as the clothing. They tried to match something that Mexico does, but they didn't do a particularly great job of it. Other than that, the paint job is solid as hell, and the fact that it's 14 points of articulation is already respectable enough. At number 6, we have Mechanicon. Now, this guy has a few advantages over Ultraman for a few things, and no, not because I customized him. And that is his articulation. He does all of the things that Ultraman does, but right. He doesn't have like cloth or something just getting in the way of his articulation. His articulation is just way better. Simply put, we have our first Godzilla on the list. This is the Mecha 2014 Godzilla. Another one that I did no custom work on. He's a very good figure. Way more points of articulation than this guy, and this guy. I'd say the only thing that really brings him down is his sculpt. As you can see, not really his sculpt, more so his paint. As you can see, his paint makes him look like devoid of darkness, but pretty much devoid of any light. He's just this dark shape, which doesn't help with, you know, stop motion. Before we have Mechagodzilla. This is another one that has had a lot of custom work on it, and if it hadn't, it wouldn't be on this list at all, because it's originally a Diamond Select Ultron figure. The point is, he's here because he's got around about the same level of articulation, if not better articulation than this guy. He has a better paint job, and he has slightly more vibrant colors. He doesn't look like the Void over here. And overall, yeah, he's a pretty decent figure. His only problem is that if you stand him up too right, he's in just slightly wrong pose because of his tail being entirely plasticine and not actually a part of the figure. It'll just snap off if you're not too careful. Number 3, we have Shin Godzilla. Now, Shin Godzilla might have a few similar problems to 2014's Godzilla, but the thing is, you can actually see the paint job. Like, look at this detailed ass red jawline paint. Look at these glowing spikes. And look at the blood effect. This guy suffers from a lot of the same problems as his 2014 counterpart over there, but he does manage to make up for them. The only problem I'd say is that his articulation is a little bad, especially in the arms area and the tail. Apart from that, pretty goddamn solid figure. 2, we have Mezco's King Kong of Skull Island. Now, this figure does almost everything right in my opinion. It has a very good amount of articulation. Not as good as some of the other ones on this list. Better than Shin Godzilla, but not as good as Mecha Godzilla. He has an incredible paint job that the only reason this looks like this is actually because of the lighting, but you can see his mouth. And also he has several like interchangeable body parts, like you can swap around hands and stuff. You have your own little Dara figure, you have chains. And also if you want, because of how like customizable this figure is with like all the different accessories he can come with, you can make his own little axe from Godzilla vs. Kong if you really wanted to. Also, this figure's just freaking great. At number 1, we have the Big G himself, the 2002, I think, Godzilla from Godzilla Tokyo SOS or Against Mechagodzilla. I'm not sure, but whichever one has the big old scar. Point is, this figure is amazing, and like the Kong, it is slightly downplayed by the lighting, unlike you and you. But you can kind of tell how good the paint is. You can see his eyes, which you can't on Shin or Legendary. You can kind of see his teeth. You can see his dorsal plates, and oh my god, these fucking dorsal plates are amazing. My only gripe is really his toes. Like, look at this dude's feet. But yeah, this guy, he really nails like 9 out of the 10 boxes. Kong gets 8.5. I think you get the rest. That burp really hurt my throat. Subscribe so I can pay my pet ego.